I'd like to welcome everyone to the next episode of the Cue It Up DJ podcast.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Alright, camera and pin. About 15 seconds. Jordan, you gotta be open. Camera as well. 3, 2, 1. You're clear.
Like our title is Cue It Up. We're queuing it up for ourselves, but also for the venue, for the photographer, for the videographer, anybody that's involved with the event. We're queuing everything up. Everybody comes back to us for the queue up.
Okay, guys, ready? Bye. We are ready.
Okay, what's up, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Cue It Up DJ podcast. And look who we have in the building tonight.
Roll forward. Bars and tone. Take bars and tone.
DJ tips and tricks, right? Cool. So got that. Do the tips and tricks. Come out. Screen sharing.
Okay. Ready, slate, and lose tone.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
No, didn't hear the introduction at all. That's why I was going like that. Nice singing, William Box too.
Take luck. Ready, full screen graphic, and fade up.
Where we all come together as DJs. No matter what skill level you're at, we come here to connect, learn, and grow. And from pro tips to real talk, we're here to support and celebrate the DJ community.
Great show.
So with that said, let's cue it up again and start the show. Before it's time to spin, you've got to first cue it up.
I'm probably in your area too. Everybody who owns a laptop, they're a DJ. Everybody who owns a DSL camera, they're a photographer.
And what I'll do is put up blurbs so therefore you can see what I'm thinking about and why I chose that song. You can see the reaction of the kids. So you can kind of like get an idea of how to use it and what to expect.
Why do you want to charge for something that you have the knowledge of and these other DJs don't have the knowledge of? Share your knowledge, you know?
Right.
But it's DJing's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it is a lot of fun too, you know? I'm djmikiemike. I cover central, northeastern Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, parts of New Jersey, parts of New York State.
And I'm Dwayne Dixon, the HitmanDDub from Cleveland, Ohio. And it's time to cue it up. Okay, what's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cue It Up DJ podcast with me, the HitmanDDub, and my friend DJ Mikey Mike. And tonight we are joined by DJ Will, and Kevin's should be joining us soon. He's trying to get on, but his Zoom is not acting correctly tonight. So hopefully he'll be able to get on and join us. And our podcast is a place where DJs of all skill levels can come and connect, learn, and grow from pro tips to real talk. We're here to support and celebrate the DJ community. And last week we had our guest DJ Reese on, and he talked about going into the career of voiceovers. So the three takeaways from last week was: one, mic skills can open doors into voiceover careers. You can do it by building strong demo reels like on TikTok and YouTube, Instagram, and a good portfolio that sells you and your voice. And then treat your voice as a brand. Consistency, clarity, and confidence is key. And the biggest takeaway that he was kept repeating over and over was, don't box yourself in, think outside the box. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how you can earn money from DJing, your regular DJing gigs, but then you can also earn other money through the same field of DJing. It could be like voiceovers. We had talked about the week before. I just had a brain fart. I thought I was trying to talk my way through it. We was talking, DJing at sporting events. So anywhere, any opportunity that you can get, if you think outside the box, you can bring in extra money that way. If you're like doing your off season when you're DJing and things are getting slow, you can still earn income by doing something other, like doing mixtapes. Or if you're an influencer and you got enough subscribers on Twitch or YouTube, you can earn money that way too. So before we jump into what we're going to talk about tonight, let's give DJ Will a chance to introduce himself to everyone.
What's up, everyone? I'm Will. I am a DJ originally from Jersey, bilingual DJ. I do Latin and American, and now I've been living up here in PA for about 7 years, and just continuing the DJing up here. It's a little different, but I'm trying to get acclimated through the help of djmikiemike. He's only about 45 minutes from me, about an hour. I'm more towards like the border of New Jersey and PA, so I still DJ a little bit in New Jersey, and I DJ in PA. I work for a multi-op in PA, so I'm usually busy, and I still have a full-time job during the week.
Well, I'm trying to hook him into me and him joining up forces together, because it's hard when you're a single op or whatever you want to call it. You're a single person going out and DJing. You don't know if there ever is an emergency comes up. There's been many times that I was booked. I got called for another event. I called Will and I was hoping that he was open, and several times he was open, so he was able to pick up the gig, and I was happy for that, because I don't want to let a client go. I may know them, I may not know them, but I want a reliable DJ that I know I could trust, that this client is going to have a great time with them. So I know Will is one heck of a man and one heck of a DJ.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
All right.
Ditto.
And that goes back to the show that we did a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about making sure we keep our inner circle tight and having the right people in our inner circle. So that's why it's important that DJs network. So therefore, you can not only share, but you can, I guess you can share advice and share job opportunities, and then expand, because you can do more working together as opposed to trying to do everything by yourself.
Well, I could share more than that. I could share equipment. I probably have enough equipment to have 3 DJs working for me, but it's my name, djmikiemike. So I have somebody come out and working for djmikiemike. Oh, well, hey, this guy goofed up a job, or this guy did this at this occasion. It's like, oh boy, no. So if I had some fictitious name like Susquehanna River DJ Company, okay, this way it's a fictitious name, and DJ Mikey Mike, DJ Will, DJ Brian, whoever else is working in that co-op or multi-op would be perfect. So Well, we have to come up with a fictitious name so we can get us together and spread our wings and fly through the valley, and also up in the mountains up in Charlesburg, buddy.
Hmm.
All right, so tonight's episode is all about DJing barn and tent weddings. So I know I had several of them, but my experiences came more so when I was shadowing my coworker DJ Randy, that got me into DJing. So he would get a lot of the barn kind of weddings, and I guess because he's located more down near Columbus, so I guess there's more barn and farmlands down there than it is here in the city of Cleveland. So tonight we're gonna hit these main points. We're gonna discuss why are barn and tent weddings unique, and compare them to like DJing in a banquet hall, how to handle the power and generator setups, the best practices for speaker placements inside of a barn or a tent, and lighting strategies. So do anybody want to jump in first, or how do you want to?
Well, Will, you just had a barn wedding, correct?
At two of them.
All right, well, I'll let you go first. You're our guest, so we'll let you
All right.
hang out here, buddy.
The first thing that comes to mind when I do a barn wedding, and let's start with the barn wedding because tent weddings are a little bit different. But barn weddings, I find that the ceremony site is always like a mile away, up the hill through grandma's house, and it's like trees and rocks, and and there's no power. There's never any power in the ceremony site. So that's the first thing you have to deal with. The next thing you have to deal with is the ground. It's all gravel. There's never any pavement on the floor. So your hand truck is basically jiggling as you're bringing in the equipment through the gravel. And if you don't have it like tied down, everything's falling off the side. And then the third thing is, if you look down at your shoes because of the gravel and all the dirt and stuff, the bottom of your pants and your shoes are all gray from all the dust and everything. So there's a lot of stuff involved with the barns. Then when you get there and the cocktail hour is outside, well, guess what? Try to find an outlet to hook up a speaker outside is almost impossible. So make sure you have a battery set up. Then once you get inside, to find somebody who's in charge, it's like, hello, is anybody here? It's usually the bartender setting up, but he doesn't know who's in charge. So then usually you find the spot. Then the second thing you do is start looking for power inside the barn, because usually there's no outlets anywhere. There's usually like one outlet, and it's located like 10,000 miles away from the DJ setup. So make sure you bring a lot of extension cords because you're gonna need them. I set up, and once you start setting up, of course you're gonna start sweating because it's a lot of work. And guess what? Barn gigs, there's no air conditioning. So if you do have a barn gig, make sure that you have it like September, October. Then if you get into December and you have a barn gig, let's hope they got heat, because then it's the opposite. Then it's too cold. So there's a lot of challenges when you're dealing with a barn wedding or a barn event. And all that stuff comes to mind because I just did 2 barns and I dealt with all of those specific challenges in the last 2 weekends. That's it for me. That's all I got. That's from memory. That's pretty much all I got. But the weddings were fine. The setups were just, one sub, two speakers. They all had a great time. There was a lot of country music. So you're gonna find that usually the bride and groom choose a barn style wedding is because they like country. They like a lot of country music and stuff. So you're gonna have to deal with that. And people do get like intoxicated quicker, I find, because they're just they're as soon as they get there, they start drinking because it feels like it's a backyard party, but it's really not. But the bartender's there early, everybody's setting up, so everything opens up a lot earlier. And main issue with barn weddings for me is the ground, transporting the hand truck, the ceremony being so far away, no power, and speaking of power, trying to find a couple of outlets in the main room is almost impossible. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I'm glad you started because I was trying to figure out because I did weddings, barn weddings. I even did one with Kevin, and Kevin had just joined us. I know there was a couple of people that were saying, "Who's Kevin?" But us DJs in our circles, that's Kevin. That's the Kevin that be in the chat on the DJ roundtable and in our chat. What is it? Nipard? I think that's your handle name.
Oh, Nubcard.
Yeah. So that's the Kevin.
Yeah.
What's happening, Kev?
Not too much. Just having little issues. Computer's older and it doesn't like to. The browser just isn't real happy with the Windows 7.
Yeah. Yep. I hear you there, buddy. I hear you.
It should work perfectly fine, but for some reason it. I tried some other browsers and they were fighting me too. So I did the old. If all else fails, start the computer over again and turn it off and start it back on. So
Cool. You're here with us fast. Buddy.
Sorry, I'm a little late. I guess I didn't know I was going to be live again. I thought I was just going to be one of those typing terrorists on the sidelines.
No. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Hey, buddy, how you doing, sir? Buddy's in the chat. Cool things in the chat.
Because I do my situation. I do a lot of. Because I'm a rural area, I do a ton of barn situations. Some of them are modern, some of them are just retired from having animals in it. And hey, let's make some money.
So much fun.
Well, I've actually done some where there's actually animals still living in it. There's a Malabar Farms. There was a writer. Can't think of what his name is right now.
Did the bride and groom pay extra for that, for the live animals?
I don't think so, but luckily it was not overly hot because hot and animals and their backside makes for a very smelly situation. Luckily it was one of those October frozen weddings like that one right there that you're showing in the pictures. So there wasn't a lot of stink being made because it was so cold. It ended up being there's a nice drafty one where you can just see the outside without being outside. So there are some modern ones like that one there that are made to look like a old barn, but they're got all the creature comforts of heat and air, which is that's the kind of barn I like. So I don't know where you're at in discussion. So
we had just started. Yeah, you didn't miss anything.
Jeff, go ahead. You keep going, man.
Because I was going to say, the barns that I've been in, I haven't been in, no, except for one. One was an old barn. But all of the barns that I've been in that's closer up here, I would say they're more barn-like as opposed to being a barn where you have like farming taking place in there. So as far as the outlet issues, they're pretty much up to code. But there are barns that I hate when they schedule their weddings like starting like now and into October, maybe early November, because it gets cold big time, especially in the September months where here in Ohio, it could be hot. But as soon as the sun goes down, it is cold. So I make sure I always bring my little trusty extra heat with me to have next to me. And the other part is just like what Will said, a lot of those barn weddings also have like, it's not, I wouldn't say far away, but it's a nice little walk. It's usually an outside ceremony as well that goes on. And so it's nice having, going back to what Will was saying earlier about your inner circle, having a nice inner circle. When me and when DJ Randy was doing his still DJing, it was nice to be able to hook up, and he'll do like the ceremony. And so therefore one person would deal with the ceremony setup and, you know, handling the ceremony music, and the other person would deal with the reception setup and dealing with the reception. And yeah, because a lot of those, if they do a barn wedding, they also not only will hire you for the reception, they will also want the ceremony. And that could be an issue when you're out in no man's land, because the first wedding I did where I did the ceremony, I tested the mic. I was talking in the mic, and it just so happened where I set the mic, I wasn't talking. So I didn't realize when I set the mic down in that spot where the officiant was going to be at, it was a dead spot. So we heard no sound. And so me and another guest that was there was talking about it. And it was funny, while we were talking, I picked up the mic and the mic was still on. Once I took a couple of steps forward, the mic came on. So I walked around and the mic worked, but then as soon as I hit that exact spot, it went out again. So that's another thing too, being out doing barn weddings in a rural area. And Kevin, every time I do something for Kevin, I try to text him saying that I'm here or I'm on my way, but then he'll say, "Oh, you never text me," and it seemed like as soon as I get close to my venue, because I'm using the GPS, and my cell phone works until I get to the spot and I get right there, and then I get no service. So that's the other issue you got working.
It's another reason why you don't count on using Tidal or Spotify or anything. Make sure you have the music when you're in my area, because you can't just rely on that. I mean, even if you're like, well, I got my phone, I can hotspot it. No, you can't if you don't have cell service. So
I forgot to tell you guys, I got there and I checked the website. I'm like, all right, it says they have Wi-Fi. Well, I got there and I set up everything, and I went to hook up the iPad, and I turned it on and I looked for service, and there was nothing. And so what I did was I said, all right, I usually use like the iPad for like dinner, for cocktail, whatever. So I grabbed my phone and I added the adapter to the phone, to the bottom of the phone, and I connected it to my system, and I got signal. But that's one of the challenges of working a barn or a tent. You got no internet.
That's the truth there. Well, the one barn that you were at just recently, I was at the same location, but in the small barn. And when you're in a small barn, the only place you could set up is up in the loft. And it was a pain. You had about 10 steps to go up, and it wasn't like steps going up steps in a house or anything. It was like ladder steps that you had to go up. So that was, kind of grueling on your body. And this is going back probably about 10 years ago. I did that wedding, so it wasn't bad. The only thing that scared me, it was very windy out that day, and all of a sudden I'm up there, here, boom, boom, boom. Like, what the heck is that? Here the acorns were falling out of the tree and hitting the metal roof, and I was like, oh boy. So that threw me there for a little loop. I didn't expect it. The staff didn't tell me about that. Memory Town, that's where it was. And I'll tell you, it's beautiful up there in the wintertime. I had no problem with their electrical. It was right there for me, which was great. The ceremony was right outside the door, which was great. I just took one speaker down. At that time, I didn't have no Everse. They didn't even have battery-powered speakers. So I just plugged in one of my speakers, boom, played some music for them. It was 3 songs. That's all they wanted. Walked down the aisle, bridal party, bride, and then the recessional. Then back up into the little nest I went. But I have some things written down here. The difference between DJing barn, tent, and also banquet hall. What's nice about a banquet hall, it's a controlled environment. You have air conditioning, you have heat if it's cold out, air conditioning if it's warm out in the summertime. And even if it's like, say, October, it may be cool in the evening, but when you have 100 people in there dancing, the temperature goes up. So they throw the air conditioning on for you, which is great. When you're in a barn, there's only one barn in this area that I know has heat and air conditioning, and that's Glistening Pond. They're located up outside of Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania, and they're pretty expensive. But you get called to go to do a gig up there. You know what you're getting into. You know what you could charge for a wedding up there. Then there's also a barn out, it's called Old Carter Barn out at Lake Erie. That's up past Tunkhannock. Then there's a Mountain View Barn. That's down in right outside Bloomsburg. I like the old traditional barns like those I just named. People are coming up with barns now today. They're calling them barns. They're actually a pole barn. They're made from wood of today, which is totally different. The acoustics is different. You go to those old traditional barns, like every barn I DJ'd at, I can't say every barn, but barns that I named, they're at least 100 years old, or if not older. And that wood is aged, and the acoustics is so warm in there. It's unbelievable. You have to understand, you're going to a barn, Old Carter Barn. When it gets dark out, you can see the moonlight coming through the slats in the wood. When you put your lights on, you go outside to have a cigarette or just to step outside to get some fresh air, you can see your lights coming outside. So that's quite interesting. Glistening Pond, they kept it basically as much as original they could keep it, except what they did is they made some improvements to the floor. Women with their high heels, you gotta understand, like when you're in a barn, a traditional barn, you're gonna have cracks in the wood, you're gonna have this and that. Most of your barns that they use for weddings are usually a hay barn, so you don't have too much traffic from the animals up in that area. But still, you have the tractor pulling in, unloading the hay, different tools falling, so you're gonna get cracks and stuff in the woods. A woman walking, or even a man walking with his shoes, you just hit that the wrong way, you're gonna break an ankle or twist an ankle or break a leg even. So Glistening Pond did one up on them. They put a covering over their floor. Now it's basically, it looks like the wood is still there, but they covered that wood so you won't fall, so which is great. It's the barn weddings are a lot of fun to do. Each barn wedding I've done, is the electricity is right there. I have no problems with that. The thing is, with a barn wedding, you basically have limited space on what you can do and where you're at. And you're used to going to hall, you can set up all these lights and this and that. A barn wedding, they say the DJ's there, and you have the last one, Old Carter Barn. I'm 6'2.5". I raised my hand up and I was hitting the ceiling where I was at. So I'm like, oh boy, I can't put up no lights behind me. I can't put up no lights in front of me because that's the dance floor. Can't put up no lights to the sides of me because the one side was where the restroom, where you had to go walk down to the restroom area. The other side, the bride and groom had decorations there. So you're very limited what you can do there. I just use my mini Part 4s, and I use my Chave globe. I forget the name of the light actually.
Mike, have you been to a Quarry Hill farm or something?
No, I've never been.
I was just there this Saturday, and it was very rustic.
Okay, yeah. See, I love a barn like that. I've done 2 barn weddings that they consider them barns, but they're basically a pole barn. They made it look like an authentic barn, but it really wasn't a true barn. From the first time I DJ'd at Old Carter Barn, they have improved that so much, it's unbelievable. The thing is, again, I said that the acoustics in there, in any of the old traditional barns, it's unreal. Now, when you move over to a tent wedding, like I just did 2 weeks ago, you are placed out in a tent. There is no electrical. There's no electrical outlets there. So they run extension cord for you. Only problem is you don't know what size extension cord you're going to get. I happen to get a 16 gauge extension cord, it's very thin. So now you're limited on how much power consumption you want to send through that cord. Then you got to worry about guests walking by the cord on the outside of the tent. If they happen to trip over that, they pull that out of the wall that's plugged into the home that was there. Now you lost power. There goes your music. So you're like, oh boy. Lighting for that underneath the tent, lighting is very hard because the tent is white. And as you can see in the pictures here with different tents, you notice they have white lights going all the way around, like the bulb lighting going all the way around them. That ain't set up by the DJ. That's set up by the people who own the property or who own the tent. So it's basically bright all night long underneath that tent. You're trying to light it up. You really, it's hard. When you're in a barn, a banquet hall, they dim the lights for you. So it's great. You have control of your lighting. You can control how bright you want it. You could dim your lights down. You could brighten them up. It's awesome. What I do for every event I do, every wedding, in a barn, under the tent, or in a banquet hall, I always start with amber lights. I always think ahead and think out of the box. Like we said, you have your photographer, maybe a videographer. I use the amber lighting. It's easier for the videographer. It's easier for the photographer to take pictures, to make their color adjustments. You put different colors in, it's hard for them. It's just making their job a lot harder. And, they appreciate when you work with them, which is great. And after they get their pictures taken for the introductions, the first dance, the parent dances, then I keep them on amber for dinner time. Nobody's really up and around dancing. They're coming up to the bar, getting a drink or whatever. So you don't want lights bouncing to different colors. But once you start dancing, that's it. You get the lights going. My mini pars, I just switch them over to, fade in, fade out, or I could switch them over to over to music mode. I use my Chave Hex FX 2s they are, and I usually use them to fade in and fade out, just like a wash effect, because they are extremely bright. And then you're in a barn. Barn has a unique atmosphere. The walls are dark. You don't want to take away from that. You want to highlight that. You want to make it look nice. You want to make it look interesting, because it's very architectural. You could have those lights shining up towards the ceiling in the barn. And it's unbelievable how many people will look up and like, wow, look at that up there. So that's a plus right there for yourself and for the owners of the barn. The load in and out of a barn basically is simple, because it is an old hay barn. So what do? They bring hay into that barn. They have a big, nice, wide door. So when you're loaded in, you have that big, nice, wide door. You back up your vehicle to that door. Boom. Load in, load out. A tent. Now that's another story. You don't know where that tent's going to be set up at. It might be set up right there, right next to, there might be a little house. It might be a little garage or whatever. But you may have 100-yard walk to get to there. So you have to have your rock and roll car, or in my case, I have that. And plus I picked up these 2 wagons, which are great. They have 4-inch wheels on them. You don't get stuck nowhere with them. But again, you're pulling those carts for 100 yards, and it gets kind of trying on your body. Thank God I don't have to pull them. My son, my daughter, my future son will not pull them for me. They do all my setup for me. But it's a lot of fun doing those type of weddings. They are different than a hall or banquet hall. But you can't walk in there thinking that it's going to be the same as a banquet hall. You have to adjust to the situation. Will, like you said, your shoes got all dirty and your pants got dusty. When I'm doing the ceremony, I don't dress up for that. If I come there in shorts, if I come there in jeans, I'm out of the way. I'm not in nobody's pictures, nothing. My speakers there, the microphone I have set up for the priest or the person that's, conducting the ceremony. Once they're done, I take the microphone back, cocktail hours right there, turn the speaker around, and I go back, finish setting up underneath the tent or in the barn or wherever I'm going to be. But I wear a pair of sneakers too, or Crocs with me. Once I'm all done setting up, that's when I change. I don't want to go there being all dressed up and possibly getting dirty, getting sweaty. Then you're gonna look like a slob or a bum up there DJing. I'd rather look like a slob or a bum setting up. Once I'm done setting up, that's it. I'm changing. I'm like Clark Kent. I go into the bathroom and change. I come out looking like Superman. Then that's basically all I have.
So
Again,
when you was mentioning something about your lighting, so with your lights, you just pretty much use more wash effect kind of things and not so much of the other sparkly, the
yes.
lights that give off a bunch of extra.
Well, you got to think if you're underneath the tent. Like I said, this past wedding, I was underneath the tent. I had a 16 gauge wire, so you're limited on how much power you could draw through that. So you don't want to hook up your Jave Hex FX2s. So I didn't use them. I just used my mini par 4s. That was it. I'm like, I just don't want to draw too much power. I don't want to trip a circuit that might be in the house. I don't know if it's a regular circuit breaker. I don't know if it's the old screw-ins circuit breakers. I have no idea. So what I did there is just I used my mini par 4s. I know in our outline we talked about the what do you call it? Generators. Basically, if you're going to do a wedding or if you're at a tent, or at a wedding, at a barn or in a tent, usually they supply a generator for you. And 9 times out of 10, it's a whisper generator. They are very expensive, but you don't even hear them running, which it's unbelievable. So I excluded the generators out of my notes here. And again, you're both situations, a tent and a barn, you're in a limited space. And also when you're underneath the tent, there's times I had to take sandbags with me to make sure my speaker wasn't going to tip over because the ground was totally uneven. You're like, like, what do you do? If you don't have something there holding your speaker down, it's going over. So it's limited space. You're usually the furthest from the dance floor.
That happens. They throw you in the corner all the time.
Yeah, the dance floor is in the middle, and you're usually on the other end of the tent. So when you're doing that, you got to make sure your speakers are up nice and high. You want to throw that music so it's hitting the dance floor. You don't want to blast out the eardrums of the people that are sitting right next to you. I mean, I had guests that I took one step, I had my hand on their shoulder to my right. One step to my left, I had my hand on that guy's shoulder there too. So that was it. It's like, wow, hopefully the speakers don't fall over. Where I was, the ground was pretty level this past week or 2 weeks ago. The only thing that got me is the venue never cut the grass there. What they did is they laid the tent down. I don't know how long it laid on the ground. Then they raised it, and the grass looked great, looked nice and flat until the people started walking through it. Then you seen the grass coming up, and a few ladies did trip. A few guys got their feet, their shoes caught in the grass, and it was like, oh boy, please don't fall. Then they had about a quarter of a mile walk back up this long, dark driveway to get on the school bus because the turn coming into the venue was so sharp, the bus could not make the turn. But going back to your question, Dwayne, barns and tent weddings, you are working with very limited space. There's very rarely, especially a traditional barn, the old 100-year-old barn, you are really tight for space. The newer barns, it's basically it's like a venue. They just throw a wood up on the walls and oh boy, yeah, hey, this is our barn. You know, it's not a traditional barn that I call a barn. And in those barns, you have ample room, like inside of a venue.
All right, and so on the screen now, you had looked at pictures from the first set of pictures was from Kevin, and then the second set was from djmikiemike. No, the second set was mine, and then it was djmikiemike that we've been watching. And this set is up here was sent by Buddy, so he had just did a wedding. It looked like it's both a barn and a tent wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I did want to, I don't know whether we're doing organized based on what I'm reading here. Interject as far as the generator.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to use a generator and it's someone else's, say, is it an inverter generator? Because you don't want anything but pure sine going through all your equipment.
Mm-hmm.
The other is just basically you're cutting the life short on your equipment and using it that way.
Yeah.
So if you're forced to do that, it's like, no, that's not acceptable. And if I needed that, I would get one, and I have sources. Right now, I am just using a battery system. I primarily use it for ceremonies, especially when these remote locations. I have fired it up with 4 speakers running at max volume, max SPL, and it hasn't cut out. So I know I'm good to go. If I need to, I can also use that for the reception too. One of the things I will mention about barns, I have a colleague of mine that's going to be doing a barn wedding where I was at last year, and they need to do some maintenance on the place there in Caledonia. Some of their outlets are very weak and they do not hold the plug in, and I told her about this. I let everybody know if they're going someplace that I've been, the caveats, the pitfalls, so that they know what to do going in. And I told her, it's like, if they put you in this corner, you're going to have to run a cord not to the closest outlet because it will not hold your cord. You're going to have to run to the middle of the room where I was set up a previous year where those outlets are brand new and recently installed. So I showed her pictures. So I always make sure if I've been someplace and I know someone else is going, I give them as much information as I can so that they can make a good impression. Also, if it's someplace I haven't been to, I have a lot of people that have been to a lot of places. I will reach out to them and tell them and find out what the 411 is on it. Like this next weekend, I'm in a barn. I've been to this barn before. It's one of those barns where, like Mike was mentioning, it has a loft area that sometimes they put you. I don't like being up there, and I'm not gonna, and especially loft areas and column speakers, they don't mix.
No.
If they expect the speakers to be up there. Basically, any speaker up in a loft really doesn't work. If you do have the ones that have that different 5-degree pole, that will help.
QSDs have that.
But I still tell them, it's like, have you ever seen a speaker? You're basically playing sound for the birds up in the rafters. Is that what you really want? You know, so I tell them they need to get the speakers at the same level that you're at. So I try to be informative and matter of fact.
Yes.
And explain to them, is like, you know, if you want good sound, you got to be on the same level. Also, me being up here, it makes it hard for me to be able to, from my mixer, it makes it nearly impossible for me to, if I need to be down there to do announcements and then hand off the mic, then I got to run back up because they won't hold it correctly and make all these tweaks because I'm a single op for the most part, unless I need Dwayne or it's sold as a 2-person situation. So again, that makes it more problematic. So I try to impress upon them that ideally and for the best performance, you know, these are things that need to be taken into consideration.
Well, one thing I say about the old part of barn, one of their improvements that they did is they installed a microphone and speakers, which
Their barn it's set up differently. Like there's a wall down the middle. This side is where you sit and eat. This side is where you dance. You do the introductions. The people come in from the left. They go into the right. So when I make the introductions, I can't see what they're doing in that other room.
Yeah.
But instead of me using my microphone, I use the venue's microphone, so they can hear me over on the other side, and they can hit the bridal party can hear me here also. So which was great. One thing to mention too is I always use my firmament conditioner. That will make sure you have the cleanest power possible, and for the outlets that your plug falls out of, I don't know the name of them. I do have them downstairs. There is these little plastic clips that just fit into the outlet. You put them in, believe me, your plug ain't gonna fall out no more. I'll get the name of them for next week and I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Is that the one with the screw that it screws in a little bit?
No, this doesn't. All it is a little plastic piece. And you put it in the outlet and then you put your plug in.
I've seen some different things. I've seen some that's like a stickum that it sort of sticks and holds your. Now the other thing that would help is if you had the flat kind of cords, because then you don't have that extra weight curving off. If you have the ones that are just flat and then the cord comes right out the bottom, those don't have that extra pull to try to want to work themselves out.
Well, I like when you go to plug something in and you see, look at where the ground is and a piece is broken off in there. You're like, what do you do now?
Yeah.
You know, like,
well, I keep some of the ground lifts with me, just in case.
Yeah.
Mine swivels.
Oh, cool. You what up on me there?
Amazon, baby.
Oh, I love Amazon. Don't tell my wife. She's probably watching the video downstairs now anyhow.
All right, so as far as the speakers are concerned, because I seen in the picture where I seen the regular tops and then I seen column arrays. So which ones in certain situations work better or best?
Well, you're working with all wood all around you. So I imagine that you could do a barn without a sub, right?
Yes and no, depending on the couple, depending on what music
type.
You know, the last wedding I did was the tent wedding, and they wanted all alternative music, basically.
I think a tent wedding would be a little bit different than a barn wedding when it comes to sound.
Oh yeah. Oh, the sound is completely different.
You definitely need a sub in a tent.
Yeah, I took one sub with me. I could have probably used two, but then again, you're at the mercy of the weather. I mean, even though you're underneath the tent, you're staying dry. But again, the ground sloped off a little bit, and I'm here, so that water's running down.
Yep.
And guess what? Your sub is sitting on the ground.
Yep.
Your speakers are up on poles. Okay, they're staying dry, but now the ground is getting wet.
All your cables are wet.
You don't know if the speaker's going to go over. You know, you don't know how soft the ground is going to get. You know, there's many risk factors when you're underneath the tent. But in a barn, I still take a sub with me just to give it that. Well, I have the EV subs, which I can control through my phone. So if it's a little too much, boom, boom, I just knock it down. I'll go down to maybe -8 decibel. It's perfect then.
Well, I guess it also depends on the size, right, Dwayne? It depends on the size of the barn too.
A lot of barns, at least, you know, for me, I can think of this one that I was at where you showed the picture. It was the one that I said Malabar Farms. It has a long straightaway area straight out that was dance floor in the open area, and then it was an L where the seating was. Well, because of the shape of that one, it's like I can't make music really go around the corner. So I had my traditional tops and a sub because they went a little bit fancier. Then I put two more satellite speakers up at that end, angled over to that L around the corner.
Did you run cable or you had to run them wirelessly?
No, I cable.
I did one wedding. They considered it a barn. It actually, well, it was. Well, can't say it's a traditional barn. It's a horse barn, which they have horse shows at. I was nowhere to lie. I was about 150 yards away from the dance floor. This
Jesus.
place is enormous, and there is approximately 75 guests there, to 100 guests.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, why didn't you just set me up by the dance floor? Why did you set me up back there? And then I didn't think there's no electrical outlets up there. All it is dirt. Then they put this big, thick padding down. Then they put the dance floor on top of that. But when you're that far away, I mean, you're really pushing it to get the sound to travel that far. But then it's starting to echo because it's not a traditional barn. It's made out of metal. Just wasn't.
Yeah, people start complaining. It's too loud.
Yeah, well, it's just the sound, the way it was bouncing around. No matter how I positioned the speakers, it was just bouncing all over the place. The roof is metal. The walls are metal. It was just terrible. And this place advertises as a barn venue. It's not a barn. It's a horse show place. That's all I could say, you know.
Mm. And also getting back to your the generator thing, a lot of generators are coming down in price. Because I know I picked up a Ryobi. It's the one. It's the Home Depot
Ryobi.
one, where you can just use you can take whatever battery that you have and use that as a power source.
Yes.
As opposed to
That's
getting
Ryobi.
the Jackery, because the Jackery is almost like a MacBook Pro. It
Yeah.
is what it is. So if you pay for something that's this big, that's all you can do with it. Whereas with the Ryobi one, I can always add to it and expand if I need to. So yeah, a lot
Well,
of
also with yours, the batteries, if they go bad, you just buy another battery.
hmm
So the base unit, as long as it doesn't go bad, it's always functional.
hmm
So if you're using your batteries for a drill, a saw, a pruner, whatever outside, they're multi-purpose. So then it's like, okay, now I need a battery system power unit. I stick them in there, and batteries eventually do peter out. And with that one, you just buy another battery. You bring that into the rotation. Yeah, if you buy the Jackery, it's sort of like when its life is over, you're done with it. You got to buy a whole new one. While yours, you're able to just buy individual little batteries as needed.
Right. And they always I got some extra ones too. So mine's usually the longest I ran it was 4, maybe 5 hours, and I still had battery life, but also I have extra batteries, so I can like rotate them out, so I can go a good 6 hours. And I ran two MLS column array speakers, my laptop,
Is that for an
my
outside
control,
event?
huh?
That for outside event, or
Yeah.
was it indoor?
No, it was outside. It was for a birthday party, just to try it out to see how long I can run it. And so it pretty much handled it. And then I was like, I turned the volume up, so it wasn't like I was being conservative. So they do a pretty good job.
Where was it at when you finished? Just curious, what percentage was left? Was it 30, 50?
I was gonna say 30. It's less than 50. And with it likes. I'm trying to think how do it runs. It doesn't run like I think it will run. It's like you have 6 battery banks, and instead of it running one battery and then going to the next one, it like draws a little bit from all of them to, I guess, kind of like
Equalize.
Yeah, equalize the power. So
Gotcha. Go ahead.
This is my little buddy right here.
How much was that one, Mike?
This was $300. It has 2 outlets here.
Mm-hmm.
All I do is I put a power strip on it, plug my power conditioner in. Boom. I ran my 2 EV tops, my controller, my computer, my hard drives, and my Yamaha mixer for 5 hours off this little battery here.
Cool.
And I had about 38% left at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
This was how much volume? Halfway?
No, I had it cranky because it was a wedding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it
That,
was
that would
nowhere.
that would be one thing I would do if you're looking at getting one of them and you do buy one before you take it to a time critical event. If you can take it someplace and try it,
Yeah.
that's
Oh yeah.
what I did. It was a event that was a city bicycle event. So I took this unit that I bought, the EcoFlow, and I tested it there. Like I said, I put four speakers and set them at maximum volume. And I was just playing, youthful kid music. Um, and like I said, it was a event of, well, what was it supposed to be, 6 hours, 4 hours, and I did it from, what was it, 10 to 1 running, speeches, music, and everything. I was just at 50%.
I have two of these. So I have one that's fully charged, the other one's fully charged. If I see this getting low, I could just make sure my what do you call it? MacBook Pros, I switch it over to just play off battery and boom, switch the plug over to this, I'm good to go. Yeah, so which is good in a sense. Yeah, you always have to be ready for the inevitable that may happen, it may not happen, but you have that with you, you're good to go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I know Will had mentioned something about playlists. He found that a lot of, or was that you, Mike, that said usually barn weddings, the couple wants a lot of country music.
That was our buddy Will.
Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah,
found
you gotta get acclimated to that country music, because most of the time when the bride and groom go towards a barn wedding, it's because they like country and they like that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as Dwayne had that one video up, you see the bride, she had an orange gown on. That was her wedding gown. And it was basically all alternative and some hip hop, some rap, top 40, but basically alternative. The tent wedding this 2 weeks ago was basically all alternative. I was like, okay, I had no idea what they were going to do with this wedding. It was thrown at me at the last minute. I had a day and a half to prepare for it because the original DJ got in a car accident and needed surgery on his shoulder. So I was like, I didn't want to leave them without music. It's your wedding day. So took an hour and a half drive, played their music, got out of there. And the only thing I didn't like about it is the venue. They didn't feed me, my daughter, or my future son-in-law because they came to help me, because their code of ethics, or whatever you want to call it, was they do not feed the vendors until the end of the event. Now, the bride and groom paid for me, my daughter, my future son-in-law, also paid for the photographer who left at 8:30, so she wasn't fed either. So there's 4 dinners, and I want to say the dinners are probably about $150 a piece. There's $600 just from us. Then the photographer, $750 that they charged this bride and groom, and they took the money off them, but they didn't feed us, Well, I can't say they didn't feed us. They offered me food at 10:30 at night. I'm like, I got an hour and a half drive home, and I have to break everything down. This is going to be about an hour, break everything down and pack everything away. So that's going to be 11:30. You want us to sit down and eat for about a half hour? We won't be home till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's the good thing about barn weddings, is that there's so much going on that you could sneak away and jump on the line for the buffet and nobody sees you. So
Yeah, I'll tell you, basically every venue I DJ at, banquet halls, barns, tents, whatever. This is the first wedding or first event that I was told they only serve at the end of the event. Basically, they'll have like, okay, say it's a wedding, they'll have the bride and groom go up, the bridal party, the parents' tables go up, and then they'll have the DJ and the photographer go up because they don't, they're the most important people there, the DJ and photographer, besides the bride and groom. Because if we have to stop and eat, or we're eating while we're trying to mix and stuff, just it's too hard. So come on, all right, you guys eat. That's it. Boom, go back to doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
DJ needs to be basically right with the bride and groom because while they're eating, we're eating, and then when they're ready to roll again, we're ready to roll again.
Yes,
I agree.
And but I have had one place actually say, "Oh, we want you to go," because they understood. The other ones, it's like, and I've even had Brian's grooms like, "Oh, are you going to get a chance to eat?" I was like, "Well, usually what happens is I wait till the end and I shovel, or I'll just get it as a to go." I was like, "You got a container? I can just create a meal and I'll eat it. If I get a chance, I will. If I don't, I don't." And I roll that way.
Man, this venue, they sold the bride and groom on so much stuff that wasn't really there. They sold them on this beautiful furniture in the house because it's a really old home. I want to say late 1700s, early 1800s. It was built. They had this antique furniture in there and everything. And bride and groom were, they were so excited about all this. Wedding day comes, they go to the house, and there isn't a piece of furniture in there. They're like, "What happened to the furniture?" "Oh, that's just props." "What?" "Yeah, that's just props." And then going on to the wedding coordinator for that, she totally messed up. She didn't buy enough because when you have that's one thing I should have stressed, and I don't know, Will, and you guys, you also did barn weddings here in Pennsylvania. You have to supply your own alcohol. You have to get licensed and insured Pennsylvania liquor control license bartenders and insured bartenders. You got to buy the alcohol. You got to buy the soda. The next day, you got to come back and clean up that barn. So this wedding coordinator, the bride and groom trusted in her, and here halfway through cocktail hour, they ran out of beer, wine, vodka, and certain other kinds of alcohol.
My type of party.
And the wedding coordinator says, "I will take care of it to the bride. No problem." She got in her car. That was the last they seen of the wedding coordinator.
Oh.
Yeah, she never came back. Then the photographer and myself are like, okay, let's do the introductions. It's 8 o'clock already, and we're just doing, we're 8 o'clock, we're getting dance music going. 7 o'clock, I was just doing the introduction. So it's like nobody knew what to do except for me and the photographer, and everybody's just scattered all over the place from the bridal party. They're like, "All right, everybody, round up, let's go. We got to get the show on the road, Well, where's the wedding coordinator?" I said, "I don't know." From what I was told, she took off during cocktail hour, which was 2 hours ago.
I'll be like, "You're looking at him."
Yeah, exactly.
Because we are coordinators, if you really think about it.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't even want to get going on wedding coordinators. I worked with a lot that were very, very talented, very, very good. And then I worked with.
Yeah, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
I just like, I had this one coordinator tell me I did my job wrong. I introduced the bridal party first before I introduced the bride and groom. I said, "Well, what do? You introduce the bride and groom first." I'm like, "How many events have you done?" She goes, "Well, this is my 9th event. This is right after COVID." I said, "All right." She said, "I did 7 before COVID. Then I did 1 before this one. Now this is my 9th one." I said, "Well, let me point blank bluntly, you screwed up the first 8 weddings that you've done if you introduced the bride and groom first." "Well, that's the way I always done it." I said, "Well, do yourself a favor, go on YouTube and watch wedding introductions, and they'll show you how to do it." And I don't know if the lady's still doing it. I doubt it because she was just a train wreck. The bride and groom were ready to kill her by the end of the night.
All right, with that said, let's move on because I don't need Will, because he hasn't been on the show that much. I don't need him to say any trigger words like wedding coordinators, because we just hit the hour mark, and we don't Buddy won't get a chance to tell us that we're going to hit the 2 hour mark. So let's go ahead and wrap it up so we don't get a long story time with DJ Mikey Mike.
I need a sandwich. I need a sandwich or something. We're talking about
for a little
buffets
intermission, like going to a play.
Well, the last
Like
couple of weeks,
we need an intermission.
Yeah, I gotta get back to the chat. It's
You
like,
don't have to play your song tonight. Not yet. Wait. I gotta tell you one more thing.
okay. So Cool Thing says he understands the feeling. I DJ tons of barn weddings. There are tons of barn venues in South Carolina. And then Buddy said he just had a barn wedding this past Saturday, and that's the pictures I showed up on the screen.
Buddy, when was that barn built, if you know by chance? Does that look like a newer barn?
Yeah, it'll probably take a second, because he should be here, because they should be over with, the other guys.
I think barn weddings should mandatory. They should have uplighting. You should have mandatory uplighting for those barn weddings.
Well, I do. I always bring at least 18 to 24 uplights to start off the night. And then once dancing starts, I'll just have them fading, or I'll put them to the music mode.
Yeah, because it changes the atmosphere, especially when it starts getting a little dark.
Yes. Yes.
It definitely looks better. I mean,
well, it helps because usually most lights in there are either on or off, so it also helps with safety.
It's true. There's no dimmer.
Well, I'll tell you that the barns I've worked in, knock on wood, they all had dimmers. They were able to shut the lights off on the dance floor area.
That's a professional barn you got there.
Yeah, that sounds like a new modern barn.
No, that old Carter barn was built in the mid 1800s. Glistening Pond was in the early 1900s, and Mountain View barn was built in the late 1800s.
I don't know whether are we close to wrapping up then? Is that because I will tell a story of one barn I did.
Yeah, you can go ahead, because you won't go into 2 and 3 long stories.
This one, you did put the picture on there. This barn was one that looked like it gotten retired. There was no animals in it, but it was like, hey, how can we make some money? Let's make it into a barn venue. And one of the things, it wasn't that one. It was the one where I sort of set up, I think, over in the corner. The flooring, because it was just planks, they had been that one.
Oh boy.
That flooring there, as you would walk across that, they had put down plywood over top the whatever was underneath.
Godforsaken range.
There would be some noise that you thought you were going to go through the floor. If you go to the right of that picture, which I didn't have in that, all the boards there on the floor were severely cupped upwards. So it was I consider a tripping hazard, hazardous to the health. Now, that was one of those ones where I think it was in September. It should have been comfortable. It was miserable. Everybody stepped out of the barn. I didn't really have anybody in there. It was just ungodly hot. That is one thing I will tell people. If you're having a barn wedding, I will say, if it's in October, it's like, hey, you got no heat in here. It could be a quick exit. I think Dwayne did have a picture of that one where I was up above. There was no heat in there. Everybody got their bundt cake because it wasn't a sheet cake. So basically they could get that and run. And they left. So it was all immediate party, and that was it. So that was a hot one. That one's a nice one. I can tell you. Yeah. That's the Malabar Farm one. And it's a nice place, but like I said, it's an active farm, so it does have animals living to the left.
And all that fresh air below you.
Yeah, like I said, that one, that is actually, that room there is an ex-greenhouse. So that is one thing. If you happen to be in a greenhouse doing the ceremony, prepare to sweat your off. I have a affectionate term for it that I tell my friend. It's not comfortable. That portion has been modified to create an L-shaped area. It's a little hard to sound because it's basically you're right at the inner corner, so you sort of gotta put sound straight out for the dance floor and angled the other way. So
so that's what you're doing over here to the
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the two out are basically where I'm taking that picture right behind me is the head table. So they sort of put it at the outside corner of an L. And it's an L or a V. And then, like I said, it shoots off to the right and shoots off to the left. So it's
Fun.
it's like I said, a lot of barn or, there's a lot of events where you can't just, well, I'm just going to put this here. Well, it doesn't really work. So that one I had to, a column speaker really wouldn't work there. Even if I did, it'd only work, I'd still have to have those side firing ones down the other direction. Now, once I got to the dancing, I basically pulled them down volume wise to just a very moderate level because it wasn't necessary. So
For like ambience sound.
yeah, it's just, so I'll do that. The other thing, if you're getting ready to wrap up, I think you probably mentioned fans, cooling towels to put around your neck like Elvis, a little heater if you wanted to. The other thing I do when I leave, usually it's not so much when I set up, but I have one of those headlamps that's elastic you put on your head to help see to load up your vehicle. If I'm in my SUV or something like that, I do have little hanging lanterns that I'll just flip on that don't pull electric from the car, and I just leave them on. So those are two things, especially this time of the year. It's getting dark that much sooner. Now, the nice thing about this time of the year is a lot of times now you can get those sunsets before the photographer leaves.
Yeah.
In the middle of summer, the photographer's gone before we get to the sunset. So you got to factor that in. They might want to go do a sunset picture, which I got no problem with.
What type of speakers are you using, Cap, in your sub?
Those I still have. I think those are V1012. They're a Harbinger speaker.
Harbingers are great. They have a lot of thump in them, believe me.
Yeah, and then the sub is a 12-inch because I went with a 12. That way I can control making everything fit. 15s and 18s are just too heavy for a SUV.
Is that a Harbinger 12 sub?
Yeah, I just, if I need more, I bought two of them, so
I got two of them. I got two of those.
I tend to just use one when I use it, and I don't even use it all the time anymore. It's basically a situation, the crowd size, the room size, pricing.
It adds warmth to your sound.
That's how I decide whether it gets added in or not. That was a bigger setup for that situation. Like I said, I got some of them. I got some RCFs. I got some J8s. I got a variety. I just need to know what the situation is and then bring accordingly. That's why I need to talk to the bridegroom for this next weekend's event.
Yes, I love it when they call you and say, "Can you give me a price on a wedding? How many hours? Where's it at? And how many people are coming?"
Yes, I'm dealing with that all the time. It's like, I need to know what your vision is. What do you want? Do you want uplights? Do you want a photo booth? Do you want, what do you want? If you're just wanting to know just sound and some lights, I still need to know how long, where it's at. Am I dealing with stairs? I don't have a one price fits all because I don't know what all entails.
Yeah, exactly.
And
power.
And so that is something I have done is I have a package, but that package price is affected by all those questions I ask, and then I come up with a dollar amount.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that's the way I work. I know there's some other
Same
people that
here.
just and the thing is in my market, and I know my market is not doing well financially because I have venues where they are currently this week, and I think in the next week, right now, they're offering you 50% off. And this is a professional event venue, not a barn. This is a venue that has a restaurant in it or connected to it. They are offering 50% off their regular price for next year. 50% off. Not like, 100 or 200. And that is I think something of July. I'll go ahead and throw it out. If you're in the Ohio market, and you're needing a venue, I'll give them a little shout out. And you're in Tiffin, Camden Falls, they're offering some specials for next year. I think it's up through a certain day in July. After that, for next year, I think they're taking 500 off. Earlier this year, they were offering I think a 1-day special, 50% off any booking next year. So I know things are slow here. I know there's a lot of venues looking for stuff beyond weddings. They're doing craft shows or just anything more, just anything to get people in there.
Yeah.
Because it's reduced. I know I have an offer from a local radio station that's doing a bridal show, and I did it 2 years ago, and my list had a certain amount of people. I didn't do it last year, but I have access to how many people signed up for it last year for the mailing list that you get. It has lowered. Not a lot, but it lowered, I think, 10 to 20 people.
Yeah.
I think, it's one of those things where people are just not using the sources that used to be out there, or they're just like, money is tight. I'm just going to go, my friend affectionately says, I'm going to go with a speaker and Spotify and do it myself.
Have a backyard wedding.
Yeah. So it's becoming harder to find work. That's why I've sort of expanded into karaoke, and based on the show that Dwayne had last week, I have invested some time and materials and research into voiceover work.
I used to do karaoke. I got out of that because it was just
Annoying.
too much drama. There was a group of people that sang, they were excellent, and then you had a few that would complain, how come they're singing again? Everybody gets a chance. Everybody gets 2 songs. If I start with A and end with F, that's the last name. There you got X amount of people singing, say 20 people. So the last person to sing now, when I come back on to do the next round of karaoke, that last person to sing is now the first person to sing. Nobody's getting gypped out of it. Well, I'm leaving early. I said, well, then if you're leaving early, I'm sorry, you're going to miss your chance to sing. That's all. But guess what? They end up staying around. So
I got a question. If you're a bride, why in the heck would you rent, or would you go with a barn instead of a venue? Is it cheaper?
No. Oh my God, no. No.
So why would you want your guests to be hot, uncomfortable?
But it depends. I think a lot of those barns that were a barn and just sort of like, hey, let's make some side gig money, those are cheap. Also, if you want to go to the fairgrounds, because I had one that was interested in the fairgrounds. They were going to have their wedding there. I looked up because I can see the price. The building they're in, I think it is climate controlled, but I think the price was $150. So right there, that plus the fact they're doing their own food, right there, if you come at them with a $2,000, $3,000 price, they're gonna you're never gonna hear from them again.
Well, I'll tell you that the one barn that I did that I was telling you about that had reconditioned the floors, the plastic or vinyl over them. The wedding I did up there, the owner told me, he said, well, this is a cheap wedding. I said, cheap wedding? I said, what did it run them, if you don't mind me asking? Excuse me, $78,000.
Jesus.
That was before they paid me and the bartenders. That was just for the rental of the 2 barns, one for the ceremony, one for the reception. Then they also had their photographer take them out to the middle of this one field that they had all these beautiful floral flowers planted out there. And I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Is it worth $78,000? No.
Yeah.
I think if you're a barn and you don't have air conditioning, you should be closed June, July, and August.
Yeah. Well, around here, it just seems like now the weddings are not that popular that time frame anymore, especially August. August is really slow. July's fairly slow. It's now September and October just humming.
It's picking up.
My daughter's getting married in 2 years, and the venue she picked, I know the owner very, very close to the owner, and they have their own DJs that actually come in and DJ weddings there. And guess what the starting price for the DJ is?
1,500?
Pick. Keep guessing.
Or higher?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
$4,000 starting off.
My goodness, I'm in the wrong business.
I mean, and he has weddings. That's not including what he's charging for the venue. That's just the DJ is $4,000 to start off with.
He must be like keeping half and giving half to the DJ. That's what he's doing.
No, the DJ sets their own price. And
oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. And the DJs come from New Jersey and New York.
That's why.
Yep.
Because we expensive.
Big market.
Yep. So I'm like, wow. You know, like, hey, I don't want to cut their price in half, but I'll do it for $500 less. You know.
Well, Mike, next time I DJ for the multi-op, I'll just tell them that I'm worth $4,000.
Oh yeah. Oh, Frankie.
you think they're gonna pay me $4,000?
No.
Hell no.
Pays $4,000 as himself. That's about it.
Yeah.
It just, I don't want to even get into him.
Yeah, that's for another episode.
Oh yeah, but it's, you know, take away. I don't care what venue, what venue, where you have your wedding, tent, barn, banquet hall, wherever you have a backyard. There's ups and downs in all of them. There's good, there's bad. You could pay the most expensive, or you could go to the cheapest, to American Legion or whatever. There's good and bad in everything, you know. So, to future brides are maybe watching the show, or DJs that want to get into the wedding business, you know, make sure you set your price the right way. Do not say, "Well, hey, I'm just getting into weddings, and I'm gonna start. You know, I'm gonna do a wedding for $500." Tell you, you're gonna have a wake-up call real quick. Is DJing a wedding, and there's a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't see, like setting up the playlist, doing your typesetting, meetings with the bride and groom, last-minute changes. There's a lot of stuff there. So
if you're gonna do a barn, make sure you have a good battery setup, because you never know where they're gonna put you. You never know if you're gonna have power for ceremony. Make sure you got good extension cords for your good size extension cords. Make sure you bring a fan if it's in summer, and make sure you bring some kind of heater when it gets cold.
See, I never get cold. Wintertime, I'm always in shorts and just a t-shirt and a hoodie. So it could be minus 10 degrees outside. I'm still in shorts and a hoodie. That's all. But I got a floor fan, our floor drying fan. I tilt that up, and then I have an 18-inch fan that blows on me, and I have a little 10-inch fan that blows on my computer equipment. That's it. You know, it keeps me nice and cool, keeps my computer and my hard drives cool. I'm good to go.
Right, and getting back to your question from Buddy, and I got the picture of the barn that he had DJ'd at, and it was in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and it was a milking barn built in the 1930s. And it was rebuilt for weddings a few years ago, and it has AC and heat. And he said he had about 60 people there.
I'll tell you, all the venues I see, like all his
It's
pictures
huge.
he posts, the venues are huge out there. I mean, most of the venues around here are small. Like the one venue that I DJ at a lot, their dance floor is 12 by 14, 12 feet by 14 feet. You tell people that, they're like, no, really? I'm like, yeah. It's basically, that's what you're looking at. I mean, maybe 20 by 20, if that, but 20 by 20 is a big dance floor considering in this area. But you can say that, well,
Yeah.
And then going DJ Pretty Boy had asked the same question I had asked earlier, but his was more so which kind of speaker would you suggest for Barnes? A point source or the column arrays?
point
Or
source.
does it depend?
Point source.
Depends. Whatever you got, man.
depends.
As long as it works.
A point source, barn. It's a crowded atmosphere. It's small. Like I say, you're in a confined area, so you want to raise those speakers as high as you can, get it over to people's heads, and angle them so it's not just going out, bouncing off that wall, bouncing back at you.
Yeah, because you're gonna have tables in front of you. They always put tables in front of you.
Yeah.
So the higher you can put the speakers, the better it is.
Yes.
When you have column arrays and you have a table in front of you, good luck.
Yeah.
Start apologizing.
My personal opinion is it depends. There's one picture, I don't know whether Buddy has it on there. It was the barn in Caledonia. Basically, you're like this far from the ceiling. So it's like, you put a point source, you're not really having it go up any. So you might as well just have a column speaker.
Well, that's what happened to you, Mike,
Yeah.
a couple of
yeah.
weeks ago.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, what I actually did, I told the owner of the barn, I said, listen, I said, I can't put my speakers underneath here. I am going to be completely deaf. I said, I have to put them out in front of my table. He goes, well, you're going to be on the dance floor. I said, listen, I said, I'm going to put 2 lights on each side of that speaker stand. This way, people when they're dancing, they're going to walk by me. They're going to see those lights. They're not going to trip over the speakers. So he's like, okay, no problem. His main concern was safety. And I could see that. I could understand it. The barn is dark, but you put a light on each side of that pole sticking out, you're good to go. You're not going to trip. So, which is good. It worked out great. I was able to get again, I'm 6'2.5". The speakers were right at the base of my head. Top of my skull, basically. So the base of the speaker was like 6.5 feet up off the ground. So there wasn't anybody there that was 6 foot tall, 6'6" tall. So all that music was above their heads, so which was great. I didn't have anybody complain, man, it's too loud or anything like that. Everything worked out perfect.
Depends what time in the party you do that, Mike. Because in the beginning they're gonna say, "Oh, it's loud," but then after like dinner and they're all hammered, they don't care.
Oh no, they don't care at all. I
Yeah.
try to keep it down lower during dinner.
Yeah,
Just
maybe lower the sub a little bit because you
People-
don't want that bass.
they want to talk. This cousin hasn't seen that cousin for a year and a half or whatever.
Mhm.
I will say if you're dealing with a dark area and you're afraid someone's going to trip over that's one thing I don't like about speaker stands is they're just a tripping hazard.
Yep.
I will take those little bendable bracelets where they start glowing.
Yeah.
And I will then bracelet the speaker stand.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's glowing and they'll maybe see something like, oh, there's something here. Okay.
Well,
So you do that for either a really dark venue or if you're doing an outside festival. I think I mentioned it to Dwayne if he was concerned about people, and I get concerned that they might trip over it when they turn off the lights for the fireworks show. Is just take those fluorescent, tube things and just, bend them and lasso them around the speaker stand.
That's good. I put too many par 4s on each side of them. So it's actually light coming up and you can see the speaker stand going up too. So which works out great. And I don't care how intoxicated a person is, they always see a light. So light there. And then they're hobbling around it, which is,
Usually they see the red and blue ones a little bit better than any other.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
usually,
had I had a, I had a drunk guy.
usually it's two things.
I had a drunk guy grab a park can in the last event and started moving it around like a moving head.
Mhm.
I'm like,
I had some people try to move mine, and I just told the bride and groom, I said, your grandmother touches them again, I'm just shutting all the lights off, and you're just gonna have a dark venue. And boy, the grandmother stopped then. I was like, come on. They're not blinding you, they're going straight up to the ceiling. So it's like people
yeah, I thought it was funny. I'm like, yeah, you know what? They're not mine anyway. They're the companies. I don't care.
Instead of doing the phone turning the light on, they were doing.
Yeah.
Give me a
Yeah.
big lighter.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I want a big lighter.
You know what works also? If you guys, that's why it's good to have a big facade. If you have a 5-panel facade or a 6-panel facade, you could hide the speakers behind it, the tripods and everything behind you, so that nobody messes
The
with
only
it.
problem that barn I was in, I couldn't put a facade there because I would take up half the dance floor.
Sometimes you can't. Yeah.
Yep. So Buddy has said he'll use the column arrays. And at the time I did my barns, I only had the EV, so I didn't have an option. But I would think if you're close to the dance floor, probably the column arrays, especially if your barnyard, I keep saying barnyard, if your barn is like the metal ones that you were talking about, I can just see the sound that's bouncing backwards and forth.
Yeah. That's why I always angle my speakers out, and like basically all the barns are, whether they have the dancing areas, is small. The barn may look big from the outside, then you get on the inside. So I look at the inside and I look at them, how they have them set up. I'm like, they wasted so much space. It's unbelievable. If they had it set up this way, this whole area could be a dancing area. The DJ could put a facade. He could do this. He could do that. But again, I don't own the venue. I could give the venue manager some advice. Are they going to listen? No, because they've been in business for 20 years already, and it's been run that way for the last 20 years. So they don't care. They're going to see that bride and groom one time. They got their money. That's it.
Yeah, now I know when I was with Kevin back in May for the wedding, his column was raised. It didn't seem loud until I had went to the bathroom and walked in front, and those things were super loud. So, yeah, it depends.
What column arrays were there?
They're basically the 900, the one step down from the one that Dwayne has.
The Harbingers, the MLS,
MLS 900.
Yeah.
And
I yet to hear them. I hear that they're clear.
Yeah, I like it, and one of the things I use it for is for karaoke. It's got a nice wide spread pattern, and I like the fact that I can basically almost stand in front of it. I had a wedding ceremony where the two columns were about 6-7 feet apart, and they were standing right between them. No feedback, no nothing.
Oh, that's great.
So I was concerned because I hadn't really thought. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to put this here. There's a cake here, and okay, and it's like, oh, crud, they're going to do the ceremony right here. So I went over and did a quick sound check right there. Usually I just do a sound check to the farthest point in the building, just sort of walking, saying my ABCs because I always forget, and I need that practice. But I just like, oh, crud. So I went over there, like test, 1, 2, 1, 2, spun around where he was going to be. And it's like, okay, I got no problem. Cause I thought I was either going to have to spread them out, and I don't know whether I usually tip them out just a smidge bit. But usually that's when I'm in between them, cause I don't want it feeding back quite nearly as much into me, but I don't know whether I had them straight on, and it didn't do any problem. So like I said, I do use them a lot. And I do use them for karaoke because they sound good. Karaoke, you don't need a lot of bass. Some people think you need a lot of bass. Basically, you need the vocals for them to hear. So bass is irrelevant. So I'm very happy with them.
I'll tell you, like with the feedback, I picked up a QSC Touch Mix 8. It's a digital mixer. You could stand right in front of my EVs, my QSCs, my EV EKXs. Doesn't matter. There is no feedback at all. That QSC Touch Mix 8 just kills the feedback from your microphone.
Now, does that do that automatically, or do you have to like mess with it with the frequencies and stuff?
It does it automatically, which it's an unbelievable mixer. It's worth its weight in gold. I can say that. It's just unreal. The sound quality coming from that compared to an analog mixer like my Yamaha. Don't get me wrong, the Yamaha is great. I have a Behringer too. I'm missing pieces off it. It works great yet. That music coming out of there, the sound coming out of there is awesome. But coming out of that QSC Touch Mix 8, there's nothing that can touch it.
How much is that one, Mike?
18, 19.
Holy crap. 1,800?
Yeah.
Well, we're not going on vacation.
That's not in my thought process.
My Yamaha, I think, was like 200 or 225, 250.
My Yamaha was, I think I got the 20 channel or 16 channel. I think it was like just about 400.
It's the blue one. The blue one. The blue Yamaha.
He's got the big one for like bands.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have the big one. I got the 10, and it's not got the sound effects. I did buy one because I needed a little echo or reverb for karaoke.
Yeah.
Oh, so I did buy a simple branded one that was, I don't know, I think it was an 8 channel. It's less.
Like I said, that QSC Touch Mix 8 is.
I'm gonna start saving for it, Mike. I'll start saving for it this week.
No, I thought I also heard that the digital ones are a lot more complicated to get dialed in.
No. I don't know who told you that, but they're wrong. I set the volume at unity, and then I go like 5 and 6 are my left and right. So on channel 5, I have it up on 2, 2.5. Channel 6 is 2, 2.5. That's it. I don't even want to take it up to unity because it would just blow people's heads off. That's how loud it would be. So I'm like, I'm happy right where that's at. I could make it louder if I wanted to. I could make it quieter if I wanted to, you know. So there's that mixer is unbelievable.
So you're really not twisting any of the different frequency levels. That's why it's sort of.
Well, no, I went in and they have so many different presets in there. Like you hit the one button and say, okay, I'm doing just say karaoke, and boom, there's a preset in there for that, so it does it automatically for you.
Sure.
I mean, you could go in and tweak stuff if you want to, but what they produce in their studio and what they put into that mixer is unbelievable. And it's, like I said, it's just one button and you're done.
I wonder if they put the same technology into the new line array speakers that they made.
Yeah. It's funny, the Touch Mix 8 is that price, but the 16 came down to $800. I don't know why. I mean, it's like get 16 channels, 800, 8 channels for that price. It's like, hey, I want to go with the 16 channel one. You know, you're getting double the channels for half the price. I don't know what QSC was doing, that they just want to dump them, or if they have that many left over. I have no idea.
Or there's another one coming down the line.
Anything QSC makes, I think they're pretty good. I got their old K12s. I picked them up used, and you do need a sub with them, but they sound fantastic.
See, I have the K12.2s. You don't need a sub with them. I mean, they throw out enough bass, but I still use the subs with them anyhow. I don't use my big subs with them because then it would be just it'd be
Overwhelming.
ratting the floorboards, you know. Stuff will be falling off the tables, glasses will be falling off. No, not that good that way. So
All right.
Dwayne,
Yep.
what do you say? We gonna
Yep, I'm trying to end. All right. So,
I'm ready.
buddy, going back to your question, I guess when you made the comment about the venues, how he always DJing at a large venue, he says it's all about the feel and look. The barns I go to start at $12,000. One of the picks is a $20,000 barn just
And that's
for the
just for the
venue.
venue? Just for the
Yeah,
venue.
Yeah, he said plus
Wow.
food and drink.
Yeah, you don't like the barn weddings around here. Well, you don't get no food and drink. You have to hire your own caterer. You
Own
have to-
bartender. Yeah.
I mean, it's you gotta hire somebody to come in and put the tablecloths out. If you want chair covers, you gotta hire the people for the chair covers. The one wedding I did, it was $75 a chair cover. There was 300 people at the wedding. Add that up. I'm like, you gotta be crazy. Pay that much, you know?
And then
Oh.
Yep. And then cool thing is he never used a column array speaker because of the price. I have 2 Ion Total PA Max speakers and the 2 JBL Eon 612s. And then he says he has a gig coming up. I think he said, I know a pep rally and another school dance. And I lost
Cool.
where the chat was.
And I got a reply to that for DJ Cool Thing. You know what the best equipment is? The one that works well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The one that you've paid for and it's paid off.
Yeah.
The thing is, you know, you hear all these people going out buying certain brand lights and certain brand speakers and certain brand this. I mean, I wanted to buy a mixer that I know I probably have maybe about 7 more years. I'm out of DJ. I'm 60 years old now. If I get 7 more years, okay, I know that mixer I could sell at that time. I know I'm going to be able to sell it for probably close to the same value I paid for it. I'm not worried about it. My speakers, I know I could sell probably for the same value I paid for them because I bought QSEs, the EV speakers. The ones I have are the EKXs, but they're the old ones. They're all wood. And I know I could sell them for the same price I bought them for. The 18-inch EV subs, I know I could sell them for the same price I paid for them. So I'm not really worried about when you buy quality stuff like that, you could turn around and sell it for basically the same price that you bought it for. But some of these people go crazy over lights. They have to get this certain brand light and they have to pay this. You know, all that glitters isn't gold. I want the sound. Sound is your number one priority. That is it. If you have all these lights going, but your sound sounds crappy, are they going to call you back? Are they going to refer you to some other cousin, friend, anybody who might be getting married? No, you're just going to be. Yeah, we had him for our wedding, and his music, the song selection was great, but the sound.
The mic kept cutting off.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you gotta pick and choose what you want to spend your money on, and if you want to spend it on the glittering stuff, that's up to you. If you want to spend it on something that's going to last you, and you're going to make money on it, and you want to resell it in 10 years from now, you're going to be able to do it.
All right, let's get on before you hit another trigger word.
On the road.
Yep. I forgot to mention not to say anything about expensive equipment because you're going to rant again. So let's wrap it up. I was trying to take down notes. So things DJs should look at when you're doing a barn or a tent wedding. Always take in consideration that you're going to be doing a lot of walking between where your vehicle is and then going to where you're going to set up. And then if you're doing a ceremony, the ceremony is, it may be on the same ground as the your reception, but it may not be like right outside the door. You still have to do a little bit of walking. So you got to take into consideration of rocky, muddy ground and uneven ground. Also, you got to take into consideration if they have a power source there. If they don't, you might have to run a long extension cord or deal with a generator. And then if they're doing a barn wedding, most likely they'll want country music. So you have to kind of like be ready to dive into some country. And temperature can be extreme. It could be hot or super cold. And also barns, if it's a traditional barn where it's on a farm, of course you're going to have the smelly animal smells. You got to take in consideration the weather. Because again, if it's in the summer, it's going to be super hot. It's almost like an attic. It's going to either be super hot or super cold. Don't rely on cell phone services because you're pretty much out in no man's land. And watch out for dead spots with your wireless mics. Make sure, I know a lot of the more expensive ones, you can, sync it or change the frequencies. Make sure you do that. Limited space for DJ. Be prepared to be put in some funky and unideal spots to try to DJ at. And running long extension cords. So if you're running long extension cords, be prepared to, I use these cord strips. It's like plastic that you can get from Micro Center to put over the cords or a mat or something, because then you're running into tripping hazard, especially if you got a green extension cord and you running it, through the grass. Yeah, they'll blend right in.
The other thing you could do on the grass is if you could get like little wires, bend them in the U shape, and just sort of fasten them down in every so often. But that's only going to work in grass.
One thing we forgot, all of us forgot to mention, where our barns at? They're out in the country. You're traveling to this barn, you're traveling home from the barn. Watch out for wildlife, bear, deer. They could ruin your car and put you out of business, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing I forgot to mention, Dwayne.
All right. And then also
and the guy
watch out.
holding the light, the drunk guy holding the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then while you're watching out for the deer, also watch out for the state patrol that's sitting off to the side.
Yep.
Well, that's why I have my state patrol, state trooper hat with me, so I'm good to go. I cruise.
And then as far as equipment, as far as lighting, DJ Mikey Mike says he likes to use amber lighting, and he likes to use the color lighting that shows off the barn structure and kind of like shows off the wood. And then he uses a lot of washed kind of lighting as opposed to like those pinpoint lighting or blinding lights or lasers. And then as far as yeah, and then as far as speakers, why did I put don't rely on sign? I forgot to put it somewhere. I didn't change that up there. I forgot what I was going to say for speakers. Column arrays. Use column arrays so the sound is not bouncing off the walls. And you might have to, it's more important, you might have to bring 2 sets of speakers, not just for the ceremony and reception, but like a pinpoint source. Because Buddy was like the way Buddy had told me to do when I did that one wedding. Because sometimes when you get into a situation where the sound will bounce off the wall, or if you're like Kevin, where he's set up one way, but he has to get sound around a corner, it's easier to just have a point source speaker. So therefore you don't have to try to blast people that's right in front of the speaker, but you could still reach people that aren't right in an ideal situation. And that's where either it's easier if you could do it wirelessly. That would be the easiest one. But if not, then you probably gonna have to invest in some long XLR cords and stuff. And then as far as extra equipment, having your own generator helps. It could be the Jackery or it could be the Ryobi. And then you mentioned something. There was someone else that mentioned. Oh, Kevin had mentioned one. Echo.
Oh, mine's the EcoFlow, and then
Yeah.
Buddy's got the Pecron.
Yep. And then it's a good. And if you looking for those, I know. Well, it's a good time if you wait till like November, December.
Black Friday.
Yep. That's when you can get them.
That's when I got mine.
Yep. And then make sure you invest in a trolley, and especially a trolley with fat wheels that can run, that can go over grass easier.
Or even on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wagon I got, I love it. It goes over everything: beaches, rocks, mud, you name it. It just goes through it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the Rockville, I had the Rockville, and the Rockville was having issues with the gravel.
Yeah.
But see, I had my Rockville one, and I love it because it's like probably about 8 foot long. But the thing is, there's no sides on, so you gotta bungee cord everything down.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a pain in the butt.
Well, what you could do, depending on how long it is, you could actually, it's because you're doing over top and then down. Is that what you're doing?
I didn't even have bungee cords. Everything was falling off.
The other thing you could do is if you got the handles on each side, just at a certain point, ratchet strap it around and you've created a rail.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. I didn't even think of that.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great idea.
Yep.
I wish they would make like a portable side that you could put on them. That would be excellent.
Yeah. Like those, the little kids' red wagons. They used to have little rails you could put on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
But I thought somebody made one. What's the expensive one? It's not on stage.
Is it Gator? Not Gator.
No. It's
Buddy
the
probably knows the name, but I don't. It's like AMG or something.
no.
Is
It's not that one.
It's not that one.
It's not the
Okay.
rock. The rock. Is it the rock and roller? Is it called rock and roller?
Oh, I have a rock and roller.
Yeah, because I know
don't have
they sell a lot of accessories where you could put the like
Yes.
the shells on there
Yeah,
and
mine. Yeah, mine. You can get the shelf. Mine, I bought that extra bag so I can put all my speaker stands in, and I can also put the column array bag in there too.
I got the Rockville, and the bottom started like ripping.
On your little side extra thing.
The one that like yours, you put you could put the poles and stuff in there.
Did yours have a plastic base that's supposed to sort of take the weight and it almost looks like a frisbee
Yeah.
someone stuck down in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
because I have that one too, but mine's is I thought it will work with my I have the on stage trolley, and either I got to get my mom to either show because on the side of the bag it has the thing where you put the handle in there. It's
slide
like
it
it's
in?
too high up, so when I put the bag on it, the bag goes down too far to the ground. So it's like if
It
I could get
dragged.
it, yeah.
That's what I like about that wagon I picked up. It has a dual floor, they call it, and you drop down the little hatch on the bottom floor, and it's like 80 something inches.
Yeah, I was looking at it, Mike. It's like $90 for one of those.
You can't beat it, and it's super light. Yeah, I mean it goes over anything and everything. I'm like, oh my god. There are my speakers. I have my speakers, my 2 QSC speakers, my 2 EV subs, my 2 speaker poles, and something else on the bottom.
It looks like a big wagon made out of fabric.
Yeah.
And then what they did was they raised it up. Yeah, it collapses real tight. Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, you have 2 subs, 2 speakers, your poles. I did bring my pole for my T-bar, but I couldn't use the T-bar because the ceiling was too low. So I had that all underneath there, and it pulled like, I swear to God, probably a 8-year-old or 9-year-old could pull. That's how light it was. It just, I guess, it proportions the weight evenly. You know, it's so long and so easy to rock and roll with it. You know,
And the last two things was Mikey Mike suggested having a firmer conditioner, because I know I have one and Cool Thing has the one. There's two kinds that I know of. The one that's the outlet, like I think it's 6 outlets on there, and then there's one that's like a rack mount. But basically, it's if you get a surge, a power surge, it kind of like protect your equipment. And then I know Kevin had mentioned something about having a special plug. And special plug meaning when you plug into the wall, if it's loose, then there's like you either can get the extension cord that's flat that'll go against it, and then I guess there's some other plate, a special plate that you put it there.
Yeah. And Mike mentioned the little clips you can put in where the actual outlet hot or your positive negative goes in, and that's supposed to create more friction. The other thing I mentioned, there was like a sticky adhesive you can do and sort of do that. If you go with the flat one, that's a flat plug and then transition to whatever you got. With a flat one, you could actually just then easily enough tape over it, and tape it up into place.
Gaff tape.
With your gaffer tape or whatever. With a traditional one, it's sort of like you're trying to lasso it and sort of hold it up in. So it might be a good idea to have at least one, those little flat ones, and then you always got your tape with you if you have to go that route.
Mm-hmm. And then Cool Thing said that the Furman power conditioner that I was talking about is the SS6B strip. Yeah, he's good at remembering model names. I don't remember the model names and all that like that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I just know it's Furman and it's blue.
Mm-hmm.
Nice rack mount Furman. I think it's 9. I think it's 9 plugs I can put in it. 9 or 10, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have that on my little rack thing that I have for my wireless mic system.
I think I was gonna inbox one of our friends, see if he could build me one. So I don't know. Maybe I will.
Well, he can build one. What happens when you plug your stuff in is a whole different story. And then, LaRucka said it was a rock and roller. And then Buddy says, I have AC pads from Amazon for the speakers to sit on. And DJ Rachel talked about them. Works great. So I got to look them up. All right, so let's get into our shout outs. And this week's shout outs go to, again, Kevin. And you can find him on Instagram at DJ K Productions 1966. And then also we have our friend DJ Will. And his YouTube channel is at DJ Will_Silva. And then if you haven't done so already, you can join our Facebook groups. And we have a private and public group that you can join. It's easier if you can go to Facebook and just type in Cue It Up. Yep, Cue It Up. And then just click on it. You'll see the this Serato picture. Or if you want, you can type in the long URL code. You can follow DJ Mikey Mike at DJ Mikey Mike on Twitter, at DJ Mikey Mike 45 on Instagram, and again at DJ Mikey Mike on Facebook. And then you can follow me at HitmanDDub on all my social networks. And then we have a group of DJs. Let me move this out the way. That we call the DJ Collective Network. And the views and opinions expressed during the DJ Collective Network primetime shows are those of the individual hosts and guests of that show. They do not necessarily reflect the views or official stance of the different shows of the DJ Collective Network as a whole, its affiliate, or production partners. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. So, welcome to our Primetime DJ lineup, a weekly schedule of live stream shows built for DJs by DJs. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your business, we got the knowledge, the stories, and inspiration to help you level up. on Mondays at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. For every DJ chasing dreams, no matter the odds, it's your time to spend with DJ Cool Thing. And then on Tuesdays, join Buddy and his weekly guest panel of DJs for unfiltered conversations that matter. It's the DJ Roundtable with Buddy from TBM Productions. And if you missed the live stream on Twitch, you can catch the replay on YouTube at Monday at 1 o'clock on Buddy's YouTube channel at TBM Productions DJ1. And then on Wednesdays, we have DJ Night Owl with the DJ Biz School, and that's at 7 o'clock p.m. on Wednesdays, and he is coming with a new video. It's not just about spinning tracks, it's about spinning success. Learn the business side of DJing, branding, marketing, SEO, and strategy with Sean, DJ Night Owl. Then on Thursday, the busy night of the week, you have the Cue It Up DJ podcast with me, the HitmanDDub, and DJ Mike, where it's not just about talk, it's real tools for real DJs of all skill levels. And then also, we have Start to Spin, also at 9 o'clock on Thursdays with DJ Pretty Boy and DJ Shay. And then we have Kevin. He finally came out of the chat, and you can catch Kevin live with Matt and Eric on the KJ Chill Room karaoke chat on DJing TV, and they meet live at 7 o'clock on Mondays, and you can join them at djntv.com/KJ Chill. And then we have our other DJ friend at _DJ Reese _ from We Create the Vibes podcast, and I see he had put up 2 new videos today on YouTube, so make sure you check him out. And he has a lot of great knowledge, especially when it comes to like doing outside work other than DJing. He's a corporate DJ. That's where he lives, in the corporate world. He does a lot of voiceover work and marketing. So if you need any advice from any of those areas, check him out. Make sure to follow. And then also remember to like, share, and subscribe to all our channels to help us grow. And our fade out message for this week is, rustic weddings aren't just about barns and tents. They're about creating magic where there are no walls.
That's really nice.
All right. So do you all have any other things you all want to say before we head on out?
I'd like to thank everybody in the chat. I hope you enjoyed the show this week. And we'll see you back next week. Please come join us, share our video. You know, if you like the video, you're sitting here in the chat or just watching the video, please hit that subscribe button. You know, you'll see anytime we're posting a new video, and every Thursday night we're here. So hit
I
the
just-
like button.
I just want to say thanks for the invite again. And the only other thing I would mention, and it's not necessarily barns, although I think barns and tents are a little bit more problematic. Do as much research as you can so you don't go in there like, oh my golly, I really wish I would have known that.
Yeah.
You know, if you can, go there, you know, ask questions, call the venue, research. That way you go in there prepared and know, you know, oh my, you know.
Yep.
I agree with everything everybody said.
Yeah, Willie, there you go, buddy.
And then next week we're going to talk about DJing for multi-op. Yep. So hope Will be able to join us next week since that's his specialty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what
if you have any questions.
Yeah, because I have a bunch. Because I thought that's what I tried doing once I retired, so I can be more busy. And now I see there's pluses and there's also minuses that I would like to know about. Because when I first started DJing and was looking on YouTube, Rick Reb was the first one. So I was watching his videos. I was like, man, how do he always getting these gigs? He's DJing almost every day. I was like, how is he doing that? Come to find out that he was part of a company. So
Yeah, it's there's pros and cons for everything. I mean, as a single op, there's pros and cons. As a multi-op, there's pros and cons. So you got to weigh it out for yourself. If you want to be working for yourself, or you want to be working for a multi-op, just you have to make that decision. Nobody can make that for you.
Have your questions ready, because we'll be going full speed ahead next week.
okay,
Yay.
cool. I'll get right on them. I'll be just like
Thing is, I
Mikey
know the
Mike
guy-
with my list.
I know the gentleman he works for.
Okay. And cool thing said he's inviting you to be on his show in 2026 when he goes live. Will.
I'm down.
Okay. So with that said, I hope everyone had. Thank you.
Wait,
First,
hang on, Dwayne.
uh-huh.
He's inviting Will, but he didn't invite us.
I thought he
special.
gave us an invite. I thought we was already
Already
shooting.
got a permanent invite.
Oh, okay. I was going to yell at him. Okay, go ahead, Dwayne. You can carry it on now.
All right. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. And again, if you watching the replay, drop us a line in the comment section. We'd like to know what's on your mind. So I hope everyone have a great week. Make sure you go out there and crush those gigs. Check out all of our shows from our DJ Collective Network. And I'll see you next Thursday. Have a good one. Take care and stay blessed. Oh, almost forgot our tagline. Before it's time to spin, you got to first cue it up. All right. See you all next week.
I'ma rise like the sun while the world still sleeps. Scouring the sights looking for new leads. Marathon gigs with no in between. Your worth is from a rear view they seen. They wanna party, but I'm battling fatigue. Chasing passion while my mental is still out on leave. It's an everyday hustle, so respect the DJ life. We make it look easy, but the pressure's tight. Cue up the pressure. Pressure. Cue up the pressure. Pressure. Cue up the pressure. Pressure. Every dollar earned got a story to tell. Dreams in the booth where the DJs dwell. Clubbing is a struggle like it's all I've got. Set it up, break it down, travel to the next spot. Ambitions, the engine stay sharp like a tool. Revving through my gigs, power drinks is fuel. It's an everyday hustle, we'll respect the DJ life. We make it look easy, but the pressure's tight. Pressure. Cue up the pressure. 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 Cue up the pressure. 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 Cue up the pressure. The pressure. Cue up the pressure.